Welcome to episode 127 of Film Courage. My name is Karen Warden.
My name is David Brandon. Just like that, we're back in studio here, Karen.
We are. It's funny how a week, it goes by very fast.
And then here we are, and then hopefully
I'm very excited today.
Each one of you out there is here back with us today. Our guest is actor, writer, director, and musician Stephen Moramarco. Steve is a graduate of the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. He recently completed his first indie feature, The Great Intervention.
Steve also sings in his own original soul punk swing band called the Abe Lincoln Story and is an actor here in Los Angeles. He's also worked with America's Funny Man, Neil Hamburger, on several concert DVDs.
Yes. Yeah. Steve Moramarco has written 2 articles. I guess, Steve, we can't contain this.
It would help if this mic was
hello. We're going to open that mic right up right now.
Awesome.
But we're going to continue to talk about you, though, Steve. He's written 2 articles for filmcourage.com. Both are great. They've both received quite a lot of reads. One is entitled Fudge Zoloft, Make Indie Film.
Yep.
And the other, did I say that right?
That was
Is that the right emphasis?
Well, I don't know.
Fudge Zoloft.
Can we can't curse on LA Talk Radio. So
yeah,
yes.
you can.
Oh,
I think you'd
did I put it?
Well, I think I changed it to that because you just had the symbols.
Right, I have the symbol. But Fudge Zoloft works. Fudge it. Just fudge it, people. Fudge the Zoloft.
And then the other one is called How to Make a Movie on $5,000, and that was just republished on IndieWire.
Exactly.
And Steve will be screening his film, The Great Intervention, at our September Film Courage Interactive at the Downtown Independent in Los Angeles on Monday, September 26, 2011, beginning at 7 p.m.
In the film, The Great Intervention, Steve plays a single, unemployed, 40-something actor/musician who believes he has finally been discovered by a documentary film crew after years of languishing in obscurity.
And the film, as Steve writes about in his article, Fudge Zoloft, is an embellishment of his own life and served as a catalyst out of his own real-life depression. Please welcome to the Film Courage studio, Mr. Steve Moramarco. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
That's
Thanks
great.
for asking.
It's great to finally meet you. I've had so many email exchanges with you.
True.
It's nice to see you in person and you get to meet the real Steve behind the
maybe.
Okay,
maybe
all
not.
right. Well, the many faces of Steve.
One of
we'll
my
do that.
faces.
But it's hard when you meet people online because you just kind of never know once you see them what you're going to get, and that leads us in actually to our first question.
Okay.
It's always great when someone is responsible with their emails and they get back to you in a timely manner. Are you often surprised by artists who aren't accountable with their emails and their phone calls?
Well, I have a 10-piece band, like I said. So, yes, it definitely does happen. There's, and sometimes it's misunderstandings. But I did recently have an issue with one of the members of the band. I couldn't get in touch with them with email, tried Facebook them, pick up the phone. Their phone is disconnected. I'm like, yeah, and sometimes it is. It seems so simple just to take 1 second and do an email. People get busy, but everybody, there's a lot of different communication methods. Some people, you have to call. Some people you have to email. Some people you have to text only. Some people you can Facebook message. I don't know. It's great, and it's also maddening, at least, like I said, dealing with a 10-member group. Charlie doesn't check his email, I better Facebook him. Or, I haven't heard from Pat, better text him, whatever. But it's
Everyone
life.
has their preferred method of how
I try and accommodate.
Right.
Like we all do. So, it is frustrating. People don't, I think there was actually a New York Times article recently about email communication like that. You send something and you don't hear return. It's like, did they get it?
Right.
That is a neurosis I think we have.
Well, communication is good. I commend you on that. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So you were here today partly because of the dark days that you went through in 2008. And, we feel this interview is where we would sort of like to begin with this.
Let's begin.
So let's kind of go there. Take us to one of the hardest periods.
Let me get emotionally into it. No. 2008, yeah. It was very, I've had a few crises in my life, existential crises, and that was me. And they're always not fun, and you think it's the worst one, and of course that was the worst one because it was the most recent. But you get in your 40s and you sort of look around, and you're like, what is going on with my life? I don't have a job, and the stock market everything was tanking. The recession had started, and everything just got really, really hard. And I had broken up with a girlfriend who we lived together, and she left, and that kind of thing. You just start having anxiety attacks. You're like, I'm 42. Oh my God, I have nothing. What am I going to do? And so I just started waking up in the morning, freaking out a little bit, and I was trying to keep it under control. And I try exercise, and then I went to the doctor for like a checkup, and now the doctors nowadays have the mood wellness section of your thing, which it's kind of cool, but so I was depressed, so I kind of checked the low marks. She was like, "Oh, you should try this Lexapro. It's very mild. It'll help you." And I was like, I had been on antidepressants before, and I wasn't psyched to obviously go down that road, but I felt, okay, maybe she's right. Maybe I need it. If it's that, maybe it'll just help me get through this. And I had the worst reaction on it. I really it was the opposite of mild and the opposite of calming, and it just, because it's your brain, and everybody's brain is different. And I've talked to people since then who've had similar reactions, but I really couldn't sleep. I couldn't calm down. I couldn't stop thinking crazy thoughts. And then they would be like, "Oh, no, just give it a week or so to kick in." And then you're like, I can't survive, So we had to go off those meds, and then I went down to San Diego for a couple weeks. And once you get in the medication world, it's very hard to kind of get out for a while. And they tried, all this different stuff, and it finally kind of clicked in with the Abilify and the Zoloft for a little bit, but then my personality was gone. Oh. I don't know. That's one of these sort of just become okay, muted. Muted, and then we did again, and then whatever, and then I do a lot of other things, acupuncture, just trying to get myself. And one of the things I enrolled in a screenwriting course, because it's okay, really, that's the thing one of the things I can do, and give myself a project. I'm going to write a movie, and that's something to focus on instead of stuff I can't control.
Right. I just want to go back real quickly to something that you said in the beginning, and that is that you would wake up with this pressure. Right. Was the pressure coming from you or from your sort of support system?
Just from me, really. I felt like my parents have always been super supportive and just always there for me, and emotionally, and it was like a clock going off in your mind, all of a sudden that happens sometimes, when there wasn't a complete explanation for it. In some ways, it wasn't I did have traumatic things going on, like I said, breakups and that kind of thing. But it's hard to say. It was the perfect storm, as they say, and it just. I just all of a sudden, I couldn't. Your mind plays tricks on you, of course, and you start going down this spiral, and it's really, really hard to to get out of it, even no matter how, and I felt like I was running away from a black hole at one point, really trying to not, I'd get up in the morning and, run around the block, and try to calm down and, anything I could think of to not like have the ruminating thoughts and all that. And it just, it didn't work. And, and part of me is like, well, God, if I didn't take the Lex Pro, would I be okay? Or would I have got, it's hard to truly know, but, I'm kind of against those medications now. Yeah. And I did eventually through, the writing of the film. I actually didn't, in the screenwriting class, I actually didn't write this film. It was sort of a side idea that was semi-inspired, but I was trying to write my mainstream film that I'm still trying to work on, top secret. But is this making sense?
It does.
Should I keep going? Okay.
I mean, you're speaking of these dark days, so in our darkest days, we often need a glimmer of hope. Mm-hmm. Something we can grab onto, right? A strand,
friends, family,
something to pull
right.
onto.
Just a goal.
What for you, Steve? What were the thoughts that were that sort of got you through those times and eventually got you out of that mold?
Well, it was. I do credit a lot. Just focusing again on myself and my creativity or whatever, and just trying to pour myself into artistic projects or force myself to, if that's the word. But I guess I just it really was like, I am going to say a lot of, finding about focusing to write a screenplay was a good idea. Like, it really, like I said, like I could, give myself a goal and kind of imagine and try and to have the writing discipline. So that was helpful, in addition to like exercise, yoga, acupuncture, even the medication therapy. It was all part of the mix. But the goal was just to feel safe and happy and confident again. And so.
Well, so many people are afraid to try so many things for fear of not doing them perfectly. Why did you start during this very fragile time?
I didn't have anything to lose.
Okay, that's fair.
Kind of. Yeah, I just felt like especially because it was I didn't like I said I went to write a screenplay just to make myself feel better, and like I said, I have ideas like, okay, what's the perfect mainstream screenplay that's going to get me noticed in Hollywood or whatever, and that was my idea. Just ironically, because I just wanted to just write kind of like a big budget romantic comedy idea that I had, and that I kind of was working on, but then as you start being creative again, your mind starts, obviously you're working, like, and your mind starts churning. So as I'm doing that, and one of the things in the class we had to just start listing ideas for movies, just whatever you can think of and riff off. There was some sort of formula, but one of the ideas I had on the list that I didn't do was like, mom has to get son married and job and ... And I was like, okay, interesting, whatever. I thought about it, and like, but why? It didn't really. It was just an idea just a side idea, and then. Obviously I was super depressed and, going through this. And I just started thinking about that show Intervention, of course, and and I was thinking like, am I hardcore enough for the intervention show? What would my parents? Well, if I had to be on the show, that was part of the idea that parents, what would they do to, people are trying to get the people on intervention shows all the time, but what if they're not like this drug addict, thief, cutting me, something. So, but then the other idea was like when I was thinking about the show, you watch the show and you're always like, how the hell did this people let them film them, like taking the drugs. And then I was like, okay, they must pump them up, flatter them in some way, say they're a film crew and we're doing a documentary on you. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay. So if that happened to me, they would come and they would talk about, my music and acting and try and pretend that, it was a film crew doing it. And I was like, oh, that's funny because, every actor has that dream or musician. Like, I've been watching you on the internet or because nowadays it's sort of plausible. So when those things sort of clicked, I was like, okay, yeah, if my parents, I'm middle-aged, they want me a job, get married, before they die or whatever. And if I was trying to get on an intervention show, and then I realized, okay, it could be a little documentary, semi-documentary. And then I would just sleep on it and just start thinking of little weird things of my life that could somehow work in to the movie. And then it really did kind of steamroll from there, like as a side thing from my quote, mainstream movie. And I was like, oh wait, I have a movie. I think I can just film it myself. I don't need to try and shop it to Hollywood, or I think I can do this. I wasn't obviously 100% sure, but I was pretty sure. And then I was mentally thinking about, okay, well, good. It's about me, so I'll be in it. We don't need to, pay an actor. I'll have to direct it too, I guess. And and all these things kind of like we can use my house. A lot of it'll be in my house. I don't need any fancy sets. We can. My dad's an actor. Get him aboard. My mother is they're remarried. She lives in Reno. This great actress I knew from Classical Theater Lab that I'm a member of, Karen Tarleton. She was always just great, and I just immediately thought of her. I was like, she's perfect for my mom. And I emailed her, and she's like, yes, So, and I like that hybrid fantasy, truth fiction kind of thing where it crosses. It has elements of the truth, but it's fake.
Mm-hmm. We're going to continue talking about the great intervention. I'd like to take it back a little bit though to continue to put everything in perspective. But this isn't the first time that you've tried to get a feature film off the ground. How many efforts have you had, and what's been sort of the deciding factor between those that you weren't able to get off the ground and this one?
Well, I haven't had too much success. I've been working. One of my dream projects is this Neil Hamburger, who you mentioned before. We wrote a screenplay like 10 years ago, and that was the idea. Was he's kind of an up and coming comedian, and we can get the money for this, and it'll be and it was hard because I shot 10 minutes of that movie as an idea of maybe a trailer. We turned it into a little short film called Left for Dead in Malaysia, and kind of trying to, at the time, that seemed like the way to get movies made. You do a short bit of the film and kind of show it to people, say this is what it's like, and we just didn't have any luck. I didn't know what I was doing, sort of, and it's just hard to get people to give you thousands and thousands of dollars. And, we didn't know what the budget we would need. But when I shot that film in 2004, shot on Super 16, black and white. I kind of was going for this, David Lynch-ish kind of thing, and that cost $5,000 for 10 minutes. So I was like, oh god, okay, $5,000 just for that. Okay, times 90, at least. It's too expensive. I can't do it myself. So. But now, obviously, the technology has keep going down and down and down. Like, I think we could do that movie for $10,000, so maybe that's the next one in the pipe, but I feel like the costs have just gotten really, really gotten affordable for a lot of films that used to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. If you're smart, you can do them for a reasonable price, at least your own personal film. Maybe it won't be in Sundance or the Sunset 5 even or anything, but maybe you'll have house parties, but it is possible to make a film and get it seen by a decent amount of people if you work at it.
Is this film redemption for you, Stephen?
Oh, totally.
And what kind of expectations do you have for it?
It's already exceeded my expectations. I'm here on Film Courage. I mean, that's big. That I tried to keep my expectations super low. I just really wanted to just do it. Just do it. See if I could take this German of an idea, get the money, raise the money on Kickstarter, follow through with it, do it. I even, edited it and the whole thing, and then, it looks like we're gonna have a screening in New York too. So New York and LA, that's good. I've submitted to Sundance, of course. I've submitted to Slamdance. You do the festival thing with some hopes, but it can't help but make money because it technically didn't cost money for me to make. So every dollar is, because I also realize too that like spending thousands and thousands of dollars on advertising, isn't going to bring, in my mind, is not going to bring in any more money. If I spend $30,000 on advertising, maybe to make, $5,000 in sales or something, it doesn't like. I just have to do what a lot of things, pray for some kind of viral video and or word of mouth. And, with film is kind of a good thing for word of mouth. People like the obscure movies kind of, sort of. So it's possible, and I'm trying to, like I said, reach out to podcasts and writing about the experience of the film to help other people to make films to also promote the film. So
and do you feel like that you waited too long, that you should have been doing some of this work as you were writing the film? Should you have been building an audience for the film then? Do you feel like you're playing catch up right now?
I don't really feel like I'm playing catch up. I read somewhere too, and I think it's true, at least for this kind of level, you just kind of go again. I think in a sense it's good timing right now. This is all kind of lined up magically. This starting right now is my official publicity blitz has begun.
Let's go, everybody.
This is it. We're out the gate. I have a good friend who's helping me with the publicity, and like a month into it, that's good. Like, you don't want to start. I mean, I have been publicizing it from Kickstarter day one, and even before that, the campaign, and I've got my core backers who know about this Film Courage thing, about the movie coming up. So it's all been. It is such a slow process. In a sense, I don't feel like I wanted to hype it a year ago too much, because then it's like, people waiting a year and a year. Everybody, you only know what movie you're going to see maybe the week before, unless, it's some Avatar kind of thing that they roll out this heavy campaign. So I think it's good. I think, once you get a start, a date, any kind of screening, like a month before is when you really take out the big guns. At least that's what it seems like.
We like the way you're taking out the big guns.
I love it.
We are in studio with filmmaker, actor, and musician Stephen Moramarco. You can see his film, The Great Intervention, in less than a month. It's going to be screening Monday, September 26th at 7 p.m. at the Downtown Independent. You can connect with Steve on Twitter at Moremarkable. And you can find out more about his film by going to thegreatintervention.info.
Just greatintervention.info. No, the.
That was my bad.
How did the get in there? No, I did that.
Bad
Karen.
I think. Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
I think
all
so.
Right. Whew.
I can't let
I
you
don't have to take responsibility
Even
for that
if you did it, I wouldn't let you take the blame for it, Karen.
All right. So, Steve, your father is in the film, of course, and he plays your father as well. And he's also in an article that was, I believe, on AOL News. That was a great...
Maybe.
That I think your friend sent us when he first... Fred?
Right. That was my fake publicist, actually.
Oh, is that who it was?
I had a fake...
Did you have a fake publicist? Who is the fake...
Fred Myra. That's my middle name, and then the street I used to live on. Or Fred Rainey, I think it was.
Fred Rainey, yeah.
Because I grew up on Rainey Street. That's what my friend from AOL was kind of like, you should have, fake publicist's name. And then I did it a little bit, and then somebody called me and they're like, "Is Fred there?" I'm like, "Oh, you have the wrong number."
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh, wait, no, it's me." So I'm trying not to do that. I don't know. It seemed like, but it maybe made it more semi-professional.
Well, it worked.
No,
there you go.
With all the emails we always get, we always wonder, like, is this actually the person pretending?
We do always wonder that.
It never is.
But my email exchange with Fred was very.
Right. I think I tried to switch it over as instantaneously as possible.
It was beautiful.
But
it was a very smooth transition.
Thank you.
I liked it.
That's quite a name though for a publicist, just Fred.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Fred. Well, that's my father's name. That's my middle name. So,
okay. Well,
I like the name
it worked.
Fred. I like the name Fred.
And I think
Fred, it's a good name, Fred.
He sent this a link to this AOL News article. It was great, and it was where your father was interviewed for part of the article, and he says, the Great Intervention is as much about his son's depression as it is about a common problem among people who live in LA, and he says, a lot of people, they move to Los Angeles when they're young, trying to make it in movies, and then at some point you wake up and you're in your 40s and you're still trying to make it. And your dad, I believe, is a retired English professor.
Yes,
is that
correct?
Right?
Yes.
So there's a scene in the film, not to give away any spoilers or anything, where he compares himself at his age, 42, to yourself. Can you tell us about that scene?
Oh, yeah. That was one of the things, of course. And it's true, too, because, and it's, true specifically for my family, but for everybody. But, my father, during the intervention scenes, like, when I was 43, I had a career, I was midway, I had a family, he was a PhD professor at San Diego State University, and, 2 kids. I was a teenager by then, and but that is also like, I feel like my generation a lot is like somehow we got this weird double childhood that now seems more commonplace, but when obviously my parents and some people got married when they were 21, 22, had kids then, had families, had careers, started it early. Now it's not only more difficult, it's just it just takes longer, but now people are getting married in their 30s, 40s, of course, even, and having children later and later. So families are, it's just a different dynamic. But when we did the intervention scene, I invited all my friends over to my house, and I basically said, "Come over," and then gave everybody pen and paper and just said, write what you want about me, real or false. This is an intervention. And again, I tried to sort of say I didn't want it to be like a drug or alcohol kind of thing. I thought it was, it was just funnier if it's like, you're a terrible musician, wake up, or that kind of thing. It just fit more for the for the movie. So and everybody just really, it was a very interesting experience to be, at your own intervention or sort of direct your own intervention or whatnot. So yeah, it was. Some people did say a few things, and that, it definitely, it was a little gut, stab when, he said that, but it was, it's true. That's we don't, we're often nowadays, our generation, we're not as successful as our parents, or at least in the traditional terms, that they were used to. The world has changed. People are,
Right. Well, I mean, there's not those jobs out there where you go and you get your pension and all of that. And
exactly.
It is a different place. I'm wondering, in this whole Gen X sort of thing, do you think there are a lot of other Gen Xers out there that have heard the same thing from their parents?
Oh, God,
is this a common thread?
That's what that's what I'm hoping, in a sense. Just because I want people to relate to the movie a lot, to be like that with parents, because it is people, and obviously I'm trying to say with the movie also, don't give up your dream, even if people try and force you to yeah, I think that is it's really, really hard, and now with this depression/recession that keeps going on and on, it's just harder and harder for people. Just it's no longer sort of shocking when people move back with their parents at any age anymore. Kind of, it's like it happens, a lot. People have to do it. It doesn't. There's a lot of people are in survival mode now. It happens, and artists, it's just like when you're young, you obviously, of course, think you're gonna, by the time you're 30 or even 40, that you're gonna be at this plateau, and maybe you're not prepared when you get there to that age. Things are, but everybody, I've talked to people, everybody's always striving for that next level. You're always trying to, everybody's always got a little better than you, but you got to kind of look around and say, okay, well, I got this, I got that, So,
well, yeah, I was reading an article. I think it's called the boomerang effect, and people are going back. But I think too, in this new age where nothing is guaranteed anymore, and people who were making, six figures before and then find themselves back at minimum wage jobs, I think people are now kind of going with that. And this is going to sound, follow your heart type of a thing, because there's no guarantees anymore. I think
exactly, which is great in some senses. Just that if you got nothing else to do, you might as well do it. You might as well make that film, But I think, what I was trying to say with, like, make a movie for $5,000 or whatever, we don't need to do the Hollywood shuffle thing or whatever, where you max out your credit cards, or you borrow from, family, and it's tens and tens of thousands of dollars to make these movies that aren't going to be profitable or be seen anywhere traditionally. There's a whole machine for that that's very difficult for us people to get into. But again, that you can realize. I think a good portion of films that artists can write for a reasonable amount of money, and then, hey, you've got a film, that's your one up, so now I've made a film, so hopefully the next one will be a step up. It used to be, obviously, like I said, you pour in all this money and you really hope, and that's it, you shot your wad. If it doesn't succeed, you're broke and in debt, and the film's never going to see the light of day. And now, because of Kickstarter too, again, there's just like a way to raise amounts of money, expose yourself to artists and people, or make awareness that you are doing this, and make it an evolving process, and then have a product at the end that is viable at some level. If it's not, like I said, at your local Cineplex, at least it's on your local YouTube or something,
The DIY trend is certainly upon us, and that's what you're speaking of, Stephen. More and more artists are taking it into their own hands, and you certainly embody the movement with what you've done with the Great Intervention. And overall, I mean, you've done it both ways. You've done it where you've gone out the traditional way, where you've submitted your headshot, you've gone in for auditions,
still,
and you're still doing that. And then here you are. You've also sort of written and produced your own work. Mm-hmm. What insights into both worlds can you share with us? And should every sort of actor, screenwriter, musician, artist, should they be developing their own work in addition to going the traditional route?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if that's what you want to do. I mean, if you want to just be an actor, then just be an actor. Then do everything that comes across your path. Web series, blah blah blah. Just join a theater group. But I think it is. For a while, I think the big thing was one-man show. Everybody was doing the one-man show, but it's about mining your own life for maybe profit, hopefully for fun. But I don't think it can hurt. Again, I feel like you should be writing your dream screenplay or something. Keep yourself busy and focused. In addition to your career, you're waiting for the agent call or the audition. That can be frustrating, sending out headshots. Now we email them, thankfully, but it's a lot to just kind of wait for someone to discover you. It's really it doesn't happen a lot. It happens, of course, but if you have a project or a theater group or a movie or a short film or anything that you can do separate from the Hollywood grid, I think you'll just benefit.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that what helped with the depression was the fact that for once you got to be in control with this, whereas it seems like being an actor submitting, you're just at the mercy of other people, and
totally.
And you just really felt empowered? Can you talk about?
I've always kind of done, not a movie, but, like I said, I've had bands for years. In college, I did this play called The World of Wrestling that was like these professional wrestlers. We built the arena and, separate from the curriculum. I've always kind of done that. Even in growing up, I would put on productions of The Odd Couple or a Charlie Brown Christmas with all my friends, be the director, and we do scenes from it. So I've always kind of done it. I mean, in a sense, the depression took just the air out of everything, and I couldn't do anything anymore. I think I stared at Facebook for like a year before I made like any kind of comment, and then now I'm of course addicted and make too many comments sometimes. But it's hard when the depression happens to do that. So it just somehow you can use it to get back, but it's of course, as you know, when you're super depressed, you can't really say, okay, I'm going to make a movie, and you want to, but you're incapacitated. But maybe you start out, okay, I'm going to write a short story or a song or whatever, or take a class and build yourself up again. But it is something it's a tool to help me, and
Mm-hmm. Were you scared that you weren't able to complete the film for $5,000?
No, I wasn't. I just felt like I could do it. I didn't think I was going to run. I was waiting for something crazy to, like, some bizarre reason that it wasn't going to happen. But just the way I thought about it, and there just wasn't. I mean, it. Yeah, I just knew I was going to be able to do it. I didn't know if it was going to be good or whatever, but I knew because I had a lot of experience as an editor editing wedding videos. I did that for a few years, just like nonstop, just like. So I knew I could edit it too, and you know that's an interesting contention with people. I find, like, the second you say, "Oh yeah, I edited the movie," they're like, "Oh no. You've got to get an editor.
Nice.
He's got to. You can't. You know." And it was like, first of all, editor. Well, you like that?
Yeah,
word?
no, I love that.
I like that.
Yeah.
First of all, an editor is going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars for a good editor. That's going to be able to dedicate the time, the hours and hours and hours, which I personally spent on the movie after the film. The filming was easy. That was the easy part. The editing, it is, I'm going to say like 75% of it is very labor intensive. Making the scenes, all the shots, all the cuts, all, you know, the dialogue, the sound, the music, you know, it's a huge job. And you know, I do say in the article, edit your own movie, because for the first one, for whatever, you can always give it to somebody else. People do that all the time. But if you're trying to make a movie for $5,000, unless, like I said, your wife or somebody is an editor, or you're just... You can't do it. Like you can't, like I said in the movie too, crew. Like it's so hard to get people to be an intern for free at this level, you know. And it's so hard. You could put a thing on Craigslist, "Oh, edit my movie for free for IMDb credit," but you're basically in the same boat as if you edit it yourself. And when I say edit it, you know, and that doesn't mean I didn't show it to anybody and it's my vision and I'm not listening to any changes. That's complete opposite. I showed it to so many people, and even since you've seen it, I think I've made, quote, the final tweak to it. But I constantly I need input. I watched people watch the movie and see if they reacted where I wanted them to. You know, just like a director, and you know, I knew the movie had to be a certain way, and because it's about me and it's my music and a lot of things, it just didn't make sense for me to even try and get an editor to explain it all. Like I couldn't. In the beginning of the movie, I'm in the shower. I'm singing in the shower. I'm singing a song that we did a music video for 10 years before, and I sort of knew that when I was filming it, and I didn't know how it was going to work out, but it wasn't like an editor wouldn't have known to like cut from me to the shower right at a certain point to the song, like the way it all there's just no way I could explain it and just how it went. So it just didn't make sense for me to get an editor. Now, you know, somebody, if you're a filmmaker and you're not very technical, and you, like I said, you can get a good crew of people, and you want somebody else to spend hundreds of hours literally poring over the film, and you can afford it, and sit around waiting for them to call you to let you know when they have an edit for you. Fine, but otherwise you're just going to be driving yourself crazy, and you might as well learn something about the software and even the pacing of a movie and everything that goes into a movie with your own movie. And if it fails, you fail, and if somehow, like I said, you can get by the end of it, once you've done like the majority of the labor of the assemblage, to come in and give it this magic tweak, you know, go for it.
As we wrap up to our last question here, What are you doing to prepare for the screening on September 26th? Because this is really the sort of the hard part after the editing. I mean, getting people in seats.
Oh God,
is a tough thing.
It's super hard, super hard. Well, like I said, this was the launching point. This day it's just about a month, right? What are we at? The 28th? Yeah. So we're at the 26th. So, like I said, it just all worked. I'm so glad we moved the time of our meeting, so it kind of felt, felt like now I can send the Facebook page, like the invite, really start getting the emails, start getting, like I said, stuff on IndieWire. I write for a blog called Unified Manufacturing, great company that does DVDs and stuff, and I do a blog for them, and I'm going to do a big blast with the publicists. These are things that are that any filmmaker can do. Once you get a date for a show, you set up a month before. You just figure out every way you can to get the word out without being annoying, but through like I said, everybody knows somebody that has a podcast or a blog or a couple of people. Start with your close friends. They're always looking for people. You get practice to be on a show and learn how to talk and promote. It's all just it's a lot of footwork, but and hopefully it'll pay off. But yeah, I guess to answer your question is I'm really just getting out there. I'm thinking of doing a publicity stunt.
Okay. All right.
Involving the Segway, the guitar, a carefully placed sign. I'm thinking of going to the Chinese theater. I don't know.
Awesome.
Maybe just go down Sunset Boulevard playing that thing on the Segway from Hollywood to downtown. Maybe
for some reason I'm visualizing you with peanut butter on your nipples.
Well, that might happen too. I wasn't going to go the peanut butter route for this, but maybe I should have peanut butter on it just to you just want that's the next thing is if you're a filmmaker, can you think of a publicity stunt that if you do get arrested, you won't be thrown in jail, but maybe you'll get a ticket or
just in holding.
Something in holding.
With not too many people in the cell with you. But if you do that, please let us know so we can be there with our cameras.
I know. I think I'm going to have to do it now. I've been thinking about it. It was very liberating to do that scene originally in the movie. All right. I have been thinking about reenacting that.
Awesome. We've been speaking with actor, writer, director, and musician Steve Moramarco. For more on Steve, please visit abelincolnstory.com for his soul punk swing band, greatintervention.info for his film, not the, but just great. On Facebook at Steve Moramarco, and also on Facebook at The Great Intervention. And moremarkable.blogspot.com for Steve's blog.
Yeah,
is that right?
More remarkable.
Oh, more. I'm sorry. Okay, and more remarkable on Twitter.
Yeah,
awesome.
There's so many ways to reach me.
That's
plenty of ways to reach out.
Are you on Google Plus?
I am.
Okay.
I'm not sold on Google Plus yet. It's just it's just not happening, people. Sorry,
All right, we'll see.
I'm there though. Come talk to me on there.
Steve, thank you so much
for
joining us.
Thank you. That was awesome.
We talk to filmmakers each and every week. We often talk about feature filmmaking. It's still such an extraordinary effort that goes into it.
Oh, yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You got your feature
made.
Thank you.
That's really
super
awesome.
happy for you.
That was the goal, and I did achieve my goal. So everything else is just, frosting.
And for more info, go to filmcurs.com, type in The Great Intervention in the search tab. And I guess in the meantime, watch out. There's going to be some sort of publicity stunt.
I can't wait.
That may or may not
I can't wait. I want to actually post photos on filmcurs.com.
I am going to do it. I am going to do it. I have to figure out the date to do it. I think I might do it the Saturday. I'm trying to decide whether do it a few days before, get it up on YouTube, probably like a week before. At the end of September, I will be in touch with you guys because if we do it, it's got to be witnessed.
And also, congrats to you for also also doing this at a very difficult time in your life. And,
Thank you.
And working through that.
Yeah.
And thank you for
Amen
joining
to
us
that.
Cheers.
on another edition of Film Courage. We look forward to being here with you next Sunday at noon on latalkradio.com. We will be joined by Sherry Candler, John Reese, and Jeffrey Winter to discuss their book entitled Selling Your Film Without Selling Your Soul, which is due out in September by the great folks at the Film Collaborative, Sherry Candler and John Reese. To find out more about this amazing filmmaker resource, please visit sellingyourfilm.com. Also visit sellingyourfilm.com/blog for the book's amazing trailer.
And I have to ask, are you a Film Courage YouTube listener? Or, I'm sorry, a Film Courage YouTube subscriber, listener, watcher?
Whatever, yeah.
It's a great way to sort of follow up interviews that we do here. We have our Outside the Studio videos. So please go to youtube.com/user. I'm totally messing that up. youtube.com/user/Film Courage.
Yeah, I think that's it. And we may have an interesting publicity stunt from Steve Moramarco. And until next Sunday, have a great week.